A handheld scanner checks for airport threats. Intel microprocessors go on sale early, and Sony slims down. All that news and more on this week's World Tech Update. Thanks for joining us here on World Tech Update. I'm Nick Barber. This week we're coming to you from Harvard Square in Cambridge, and we'll start our news in Cologne, Germany at the Gamescom conference, where Sony had two big announcements. Nearly 3 years since it was first launched, Sony's PlayStation 3 is getting a makeover and a lower price. The new model is a third slimmer and lighter, thanks to manufacturing refinements, and will ship with a 120GB hard disk. It will launch worldwide during the week of September 1st and will cost $299 in the US, 299 euros in Europe, and 29,800 yen in Japan. In Europe, the console will get the video delivery service, which has been available in the US for a year. It will include both Hollywood movies and local content for rental or purchase in standard or high definition. This week, we got a chance to take a look at new security technology called TrueScreen that's in use at a number of airports worldwide. It can distinguish between safe and hazardous liquids without even coming in contact with them. The scanner uses a laser and Raman spectroscopy to analyze fluids. The technique can measure frequency shift that occurs when a light, in this case a laser, is shined into or on an object. That unique signature can correspond to a substance like harmless water or a liquid explosive. When a bottled liquid is presented, it's held up to the scanner for about 15 seconds and a laser is shined through the liquid. After it's analyzed, the scanner will tell the user whether it's safe or a threat. In the US, regulations prohibit carrying a bottle of water through the security checkpoint, but they do allow for other liquids.
It does not work for people who have to carry medications with them on board an aircraft. So it's important that we give the technology to the security authorities so that they can, in fact, verify that the liquids that are taken on board are safe.
TrueScreen is on the market now, but costs $40,000 to $50,000 US per unit. A group of students at the National Taiwan University have developed a robot that can map out the area it's working in and offer guided tours. Named Shou Mei, the robot uses laser mapping and GPS to navigate on its own. The robot sends out laser light, which bounces back to show the exact depth and dimensions of a room and where objects sit. It can create complete 2D and 3D maps of an area. In the first public demonstration on Thursday, an engineering student with a wireless remote control first took the robot through a floor of the university's campus so it could create a map for itself. After the initial run-through, the robot was able to make an unaided journey around the floor. The students also put mechanics inside the robot's head to create facial expressions, ranging from happy and surprised to sad and angry. The robot was finished last year at a cost of $9,000 US. Researchers at the MIT Media Lab are working on a new type of barcoding that uses cameras instead of laser scanners. When cameras try to focus on the bokeh pattern, the bokeh effect blurs the pattern together to form an image that can be read by a camera. Bokeh are printed much smaller than traditional barcodes, but when placed behind a lens to magnify them, the bokeh prototypes may be read from as far as 20 meters away and contain much more information than typical barcodes.
We've come up with certain other applications that we are actively working on in the area of human-computer interaction. So one of these is to use this on the Microsoft Surface kind of setup, where right now Microsoft Surface has this touch interaction, but if multiple people are using it, it has no way of knowing the difference between two people. So what we're working on is trying to embed these barcodes into objects that you can place on the surface, and it knows what the object is, it knows the ID.
Barcodes don't have a release date yet, but MIT researchers say they intend to make them smaller and even more readable by the time they hit the market. We have a couple items for you in our news in brief this week. A new study out says that approximately 40% of tweets on Twitter can be described as pointless babble. The study sampled the Twitter stream every 30 minutes from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for 10 days. The sample of 2,000 tweets were put into 6 categories, including pointless babble, conversational, pass-along value, self-promotion, spam, and news. Sadly, news only accounted for a little over 3% of tweets. Intel's latest Linfield microprocessors are on sale in electronics shops in Taipei's well-known Guanghua computer market and are perhaps the first retail outlets to offer them. Linfield chips are desktop microprocessors based on Intel's Nehalem chip architecture. They carry 4 processing cores each and have been branded Core i5 and Core i7 for world markets. The processors were supposed to be released around the end of August or in early September, but some Taiwanese shops have apparently jumped the gun on sales, complete with Intel P55 chipsets and motherboards. One shop was selling Intel Core i5 740 microprocessors for $208. Samsung announced 2 new cameras that may make self-portraits just a bit easier. The Samsung Dual-View TL225 and TL220 both have 2 LCD screens, one on the back of the camera and another on the front. The models have 3 or 3.5-inch touchscreens, 12.2 megapixel sensors, 4.6 times optical zoom, and a 27mm wide-angle lens. They also have facial recognition and 720p high-def movie recording. They'll hit stores worldwide in September for $300 to $350. We first showed you the Fisker Karma plug-in hybrid electric vehicle earlier this year at the New York International Auto Show, but this past weekend it made its public driving debut. The 403 horsepower Karma reached a speed of 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers an hour without using gas as it made its way around the Mazda Raceway in Monterey, California. For the first 50 miles driven, the car is completely electric. Then a gas-powered motor turns a generator for a full range of 300 miles. Charging would take 3.5 to 4 hours, and the company plans to start delivering cars early next year. The 4-door model will cost $88,000. Well, that's our show for this week. Thanks for joining us here on World Tech Update. Be sure to tune in every week for your weekly dose of all the major tech news. Follow us on Twitter and check out our Facebook fan page to find out what's coming up. Oh, and mark your calendars for September 4th and 11th for the IFA Consumer Electronics Show in Berlin. We'll be there and we hope you join us. I'm Nick Barber, and for all of us here at the IDG News Service, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next week.